Over the last few years, this game has generated over $120,000 in sales. It's been copied by competitors, it's completely made out of scrap wood, and it taught me more than any other product I've ever made. In this video, I'll show you how it got started, the biggest lessons I learned along the way, and how you can make one too. Let's get right into it. So these maze games all started with a need to get rid of scrap. Scrap that my shop was making from a different product, and in particular, 1-inch thick red oak scrap. Since my target market was kids, I thought, what about a maze game? It's nostalgic, it's made from the scraps, and you have to have a CNC to make it. So my first design was a little bit too big. 5-year-olds really couldn't handle it, and I didn't like how big the acrylic was. So the next design was personally my favorite. It has these nice handles on it. A 5-year-old could really use the maze, and it's not too complicated. But whenever I went to ship it, it was a little bit too tall, and the box I was shipping it in cost me an extra $3. So I ended up cutting off these handles and making the design that I ended up selling over 3,000 of. So once I had this maze game designed, I listed it on Etsy, and over the next few years, we did over $120,000 in revenue. And if you want to double check me, here are the Etsy listings that I have. But what that number doesn't tell you are all the lessons and mistakes I learned along the way, and that's what I want to share with you today. The first lesson I learned is never consider your material free, even if it is. Because I made these out of scrap, when I first priced them, I underpriced the value, and when somebody came in and placed a really large order, I had to go make it out of wood that I had to buy. Therefore, my margins really shrank, and after that one order, I went up on the price as if I was buying the wood. And multiple times over the last 2 years, I've actually had to not use scrap to make them because these were selling like hotcakes. The next lesson is a bigger machine isn't always better. So behind me are 8 maze games that I cut out on this industrial CNC. And that may sound all well and good, but a hobby CNC can cut these out just as fast. And they cost nowhere near the cost of this large industrial machine. The only reason I am running it is because it's in my shop and I really can't stand it not running, so we cut the maze games out with it. But if you do have a hobby CNC and you're thinking of like, oh my gosh, how do I compete with these large makers, people overseas, just know that some products, and for sure this maze game, can be cut out more cost effective on a hobby CNC than this large industrial one. And so this is a lesson that hit me hard that kind of leads me to the next one. Well, the next lesson, and this one's more of a mistake, is that whenever I started using that red oak and then charging for it, red oak is like the worst option to make really fine, intricate stuff with because stuff just chips out. And so over the years, I have had to tweak this program. We have a very special way we machine these to not get chip out. I mean, little tiny things from rounding these corners to using a roughing bit and then a finisher and only taking off so much. It was very difficult. What I really wish I would have did is just change the wood up. I was already charging for it. Why not use a wood that doesn't chip like this one, doesn't have knots like this wood, doesn't have splits like this one or this one, and a chip right here. So out of all of these 8 maze games, I can only use one because I got the wrong material and I stuck with it through the years. Now, we usually don't have that bad of a result, but a lot of these defects you can't really see in red oak, and once again, I really wish I would have changed that. But that does lead me onto another lesson that I think is really valuable. The reason I never switched woods was because I was too afraid to change my photos. Because when I'm selling online and selling on Etsy, photos are what win the day. And my photos were so good, and that's the reason the product is selling so well. It's not because it's made from red oak. It's not because my price is lower or higher than anybody else's. It's because my photos were just better. And I'm still, even to this day, so afraid to change those photos because it's what's working. And I'm come from the country, and we have the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And honestly, it might be a little broke, but I'm 2-3 years in on this now, And so I'm not gonna change the photos, and I think that's where you could have a competitive advantage against me. Now, this brings me to the next lesson. People will copy anything. Even though this is a simple maze game, I've had so many people try to copy me on just this simple design. Now you may say, Ryan, it's a maze game, it's pretty universal. I get you. Here's a couple of people that are on Etsy that may or may not be towing that line. Kind of with the same wood, kind of with the same maze, kind of with the same design. So do not be afraid to make any product, because even if it's a simple product, it will get copied. Just know you have to be better than them and take better photos and treat customers better, because people that copy you will always be 2 steps behind, and you just have to be a better person, a better creator, and a better inventor. And that leads me to a design pro tip, is that if you are designing something to be cut on your CNC or cut on your laser, combining materials like combining acrylic and wood together does kind of look really nice, and it's a lot harder to replicate. And so we started cutting this acrylic on the CNC, and then we ended up cutting it on the laser. But if you can incorporate multiple different mediums, whether it's metal and wood, leather and wood, acrylic and wood, that does set you apart. And we have tried to incorporate that design tip throughout our products over the last few years. Now let's talk about what I do differently and how you can make a maze game too. So what I do different if I had to start all over is, of course, I would change the dang material. And I'm still too hard-headed to change it, once again, because I'm too scared to change those photos. And I would wish I could build up the courage to do it, as I do think it would help out the product. The next thing is that I would really push to get these into more stores. We're in about 5 stores with this maze game, and it works really good because it's a really good travel item, or it works really good for like teacher gifts and stuff like that. So at these large gas station type convenience store things where you get a lot of travelers and tourists, they work great, right? They sit on their coffee table, they put it in their bag, their beach bag, whatever. So it works great. So I would try to push a little bit more for stores, but honestly, I'm a little too busy with everything else to really make a good push for this product. Now on the design side, I wouldn't, like if I was only getting into stores, I would probably make it with the handles, because I do think aesthetically it looks a little bit better. But other than that, I wouldn't make it double-sided, because that's too much work and people aren't willing to pay for it, and it takes twice as long on the CNC, twice as likely to get a chip out. And so all in all, I like the design. Maybe incorporate handles if I wasn't shipping it. The thickness is good. The main thing is just to change the wood. So now let's talk about how you can make this maze game, and don't worry, you don't need a giant industrial CNC. All you need is a hobby CNC. So if you have a CNC and want to make this maze game, I just recently designed Maze Game 4.0, and it took all the advice that I've been kind of percolating in my brain over the years. It has a different material that machines a lot better. It's this multicolored Bamex, so it really pops, and we just put it into a kit, and we're offering it to you guys for $24.99. It comes with the screws, the marble, an extra sanding pad, the acrylic, and the material, and the digital file that you need to make this, plus a step-by-step video on exactly how to do it. So I'll put both of those links in the description. You can watch the video and make one on your own, or if you want to make it really easy, just get the kit. I'm just passing the torch to you guys because the maze game has brought me a lot of success and brought over 3,000 people a fun little game that's not a computer. So I hope you guys can make some, give it to your kids, your grandkids, teacher gifts, put it in stores. I do not care. I just want you to be making something with your hobby CNC, because that's the mission of Cutting It Close. So I hope you left this video with more knowledge than when you started. And as always, guys, remember, if you ain't cutting it close, you ain't cutting it right.